8 months since we got a substantial update, because we had one in February, but it was kind of like minor things. And let's go ahead and just get right into it. First, we're gonna start off with the video officially released by Bethesda Softworks, where they explain some of these things that came in the update. And I'll be honest with you, this released 3 days ago, and it's not the huge update, but it is something that's reassuring and letting us know that changes are coming. So let's go ahead and turn down this sound stripe here.
Hi, I'm Jess Finster, Community Director at Bethesda, and I'm here today at Bethesda Game Studios to talk to you all about the next update coming to Starfield. The team has been hard at work, so let's go chat with them to see what they've been working on. So with Update 4 on the horizon, what are some of the new features that players...
So as you see, we're talking to art director and lead producer, and this is Update 4 technically, but in my opinion, this might as well be Update 1, you know?
have to look forward to.
So we've seen a lot of feedback online that players really want a lot more utility and detail in our surface maps. So we took what's there.
Let's take a look here, you know? So obviously they're adding in surface maps. You can see some texture here, you can see some buildings, and then I'm really loving the fact that we're getting these markers that show different points of interest.
Blew it all up, and instead now we have a whole new aesthetic to the surface maps where you can see the terrain, all the detail in the terrain, trees, rocks, all the structures in the loaded zone. It's a lot easier to navigate. We've also made it easier to get around the cities. You can see markers for all the shops, the enhanced boutiques, restaurants, you name it, it's all there. It's a lot easier to get around now.
Now, I find it funny that they say we've you know, updated the actual aesthetic or the style or the texture, et cetera, of the surface map, when in reality, it's pretty much like you just added a surface map. You didn't just improve the textures and stuff like that of the surface map. The surface map beforehand, if you've already been playing the game, was non-existent. It was essentially just a grid. As you can see here, if I move my camera, there still is a little bit lacking in the department of a mini map. So we're not getting a mini map. This is just an update to the surface map when you open up your map menu. Now, am I happy about that? Honestly, no. I wish we had a mini map. Again, granted, Skyrim and Fallout don't actually have mini maps like that. You still have to open up a menu to see your map. But I feel like in this day and age, like, I added a mini map to my ESO game, but you know, again, like I said, beggars can't be choosers. So I'll take the points of interest, and then, you know, showing some texture and some infrastructure shown on the surface maps that we have now. So I'm happy about it, but mostly the main takeaway here is the points of interest. But I do want to say, like, out of everything, like, why is this something that had to come in an update? I'm gonna give them their praises and be happy that they added these things, but something like a map shouldn't be something that's getting added in with an update. Granted, you know what I mean? I know these devs have deadlines they gotta meet and such like that, but a map, the damn map, is an update.
With Update 4, we're also adding a bunch of gameplay options. So for that, players can really tune their experience how they prefer. We're adjusting things like capacity of vendor credits, the actual carry weight, additionally affects to difficulty. So some of those, depending on how you play, you can actually tune to be like space combat more difficult or gun combat less difficult. It's really up to you. And depending on how you balance them, it'll change how you get XP.
And so we're getting a bunch of game options, and I noticed a lot of games are starting to do this, from Enshrouded to Power World and stuff like that. A lot of these games are adding in the ability to really get into the detail of how your actual playthrough is going to be. As far as like here, if we look at this screen grab here, we have enemy combat damage, player combat damage, enemy ship damage, player ship damage, and we have easy, normal, etc. Aim assistance, ammo weight, carrying capacity. That's where I have my issue with when it comes to these Bethesda games like Fallout and Skyrim and now Starfield. When you can change a giant mechanic like carrying capacity, that I feel like just almost ruins the game. Again, it's my personal preference, but I'm just saying, like, obviously I'm on PC, so I can always do console commands. It's always been an option for me. But I think when these games make it so that it's in the menu like that, yes, it opens up this kind of play for console players, but when it becomes a feature like ingrained into the game, what's to stop me on a whim when I'm just like down and out having a difficult time from just going in and changing a bunch of my settings so it fits this scenario? Obviously you can always do that with difficulty, but if you know what I mean, it's just like the temptation is there, and then thus you know, just from temptation alone, you might end up making the game like a baby game while you're in the middle of playing the game. Again, obviously it's up to you, and the simple solution is just don't do it, but we all been there before in a game, and it's just like, I'm gonna put it on easy real quick and I'll switch it back. But when it comes to like, that's one thing, but when it comes to like adding in how many credits vendors have and all this, and like how much your food is gonna heal you and all this stuff, and being able to change it on a whim, I feel like that kind of ruins gameplay. It might make you not like the game, even though it's your own fault, but I just feel like it's too hands on. Like maybe have you set these settings before you load your playthrough and have some of them locked as soon as your playthrough starts, and then have some of it alterable. But you know, I feel like maybe like carrying capacity, and then how much food gives you, how much sleep healing does. Those are types of things that you need to set before your playthrough actually starts. And then once you're in, you can't, and it's just locked in there. That way it's like, oh, here's your new base, and then everything else will add to it accordingly. I'm not saying this is something they need to change. I want them to go back and change. I'm just saying that more as a conversation to game developers in general, as far as like, you know, when they're creating these things and adding these things in, it's like, yeah, I just feel like you shouldn't be able to change a lot of this stuff on the whim, because it just changes the game, not mechanic wise, but it's just like carrying capacity and running out of space in your inventory is part of playing the game. It shouldn't be inventory management, but it is a crucial part of the game, because you have to put points and skills into carrying capacity. And there, if you can just change it, why would I spend my points on it when I can change it in the options? That makes that whole entire section of the gameplay redundant.
That's awesome. So you're really upping the ante for players that want an even bigger challenge.
Yeah.
But I will say, being able to change a lot of that difficulty stuff, like especially for end game players, later on in the game, if you want to go, because they're about to mention something about, you know, adding difficulties and making it up to extreme. So that's good for people that are deep into the game or doing New Game Plus, and then it's like at that point you have some of the best gear and all the enemies are kind of too easy. That's great because it adds longevity to the end game. But other than that, I don't know.
And with that, we actually are adding what's called the extreme difficulty. It sits above very hard, and it really, really makes you pay attention, especially for the higher level characters.
How about ship customization? I know players are really capitalizing on all of the ship content in the game, and we've seen some really crazy stuff out there that I'm sure you guys have seen as well. But are you adding anything more to the ship customization?
Yeah, so people love to customize their ships. Like some of the builds out there are just mind-blowing. Some beautiful, beautiful stuff. So now we're turning our attention to the inside of the ships. So we're adding a decorate mode where you can go and fully furnish and customize the interior layout of the ship.
This is nice.
Place the furniture, decorations, basically everything you can do in outpost mode, we can now do in the ship, and it's saved, and you can do that to your entire fleet. In addition to decorate.
No complaints there. You know, obviously interior ship design should have been there, but you know, update whatever. But that's a given. That's obviously just a net positive. You know, being able to customize the inside of ship, not just the outside, because most of the time you're going to be spending your time in the ship. I guess, you know, nobody else, it's not a multiplayer game, so nobody's really seeing the outside of the ship. You know, it's all for fun and aesthetic, but you know, adding that layer for the inside of the ship, because like, how often are we actually at our settlements or our houses? I was talking to a friend or somebody at the comic shop the other day, and they were going on about settlements, and I don't even do settlements in my current playthrough. Like, I touched it a little bit just because, you know, game mechanic, but I have no need for it at this time. And he hadn't even gotten the star powers yet, and I was explaining a star power to him, but I thought it was funny that he's all into settlements and not touch star power, where I'm like, yeah, bro. Because he was saying how he has to keep going back to his settlement because O2 is always full because his pockets are always full. And I'm like, oh, why don't you use the personal atmosphere star power? He hadn't even heard of it yet. But granted, you know, it's an open world game, so everybody gets the different stuff at different times. But I'm not even deep into ship customization or settlement, so this part is like whatever to me. But let me know what you think below. Are you big into shipbuilding? Are you big into settlements and all that stuff? But I'm definitely for the interior ship design.
Mode, we're also offering a whole new set of empty habs. So basically, instead of pre-cluttered habs in the shipbuilder, we'll have a new set where there's no furniture, there's no decoration, nothing. It's a total blank slate, so players can just kind of fill it up with their own stuff.
I do like that because it does suck when the ship habitats were already filled up and it's just like, oh, all I can do is just select this. But now that they have blank ones, that's pretty cool, and we have the edit customization.
That's amazing. They'll really get to emulate whatever their personality showcase is outside on the inside. Then.
Yeah, exactly.
New Game Plus. Is there anything being added to this update that helps the players after they've completed the campaign to return to the game?
Yeah, so if you're like me and you find the more you go through the Unity, the more you become the hunter, the one thing I want to do is be able to respec my traits. So we're adding that. So in case you're getting tired of Wanted or want to change your alien DNA.
Wait a minute, did he just give a spoiler? I mean, again, it's been 8 months, so it is what it is. But I know who the hunter is as a character, and he said the more you go through Unity, the more you become the hunter. Is that actually you then from the future or something like that? Since he says the more you become the hunter, unless that's like a rank title, but.
And you really want that new dream home experience, you get to choose that when going through the Unity. In addition, you'll be able to rechange your appearance.
Really living that next.
And then I just want to make this. I also want to make this point again. Like, first off, yes, I love the idea of a respec. I do think it should be during game, not at New Game Plus. I think you should be able to respec at any time through some type of mechanic, whether it was Skyrim's legendary system or Baldur's Gate 3's Withers dialogue. You should be able to respec mid-game, not have to wait until you effectively have beaten the game, because if I'm respecing after New Game Plus, I'm starting over anyway. I mean, New Game Plus, I guess, is the same character, but it's like I feel like I'm starting over anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna redo a character. That should be mid-game, but I don't know, man. These developers adding in such crucial things in updates that should have been there from the get-go. And I feel like they're trying to save replayability, but it's like, how much time do you think people have nowadays? Everybody is working themselves to the bone. There is not time to be playing games a few times over. You know, I mean, we all have those 1 or 2 games that we'll play again and again, but like, don't assume that your game's going to be one of those games, because a lot of the times, especially with these big open world games, these Fallouts and these Bethesda games, these Skyrim games and all that, it's like these games are so big, it's like, unless it's a cult classic or a gem, most of the time it's like nobody wants to go through all that again, to be honest. I like the idea of respect though, but it should be mid-game, not end-game.
The Unity. In addition, you'll be able to rechange your appearance.
Really living that next second life, huh?
Exactly.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you guys want to share about this update that players have to look forward to? I mean, you've already shared a lot as it is.
We're focusing now on our Xbox Series X players with this update. We're giving them some settings where they can help prioritize between performance or visual. If they choose to prioritize performance, the target.
This is a lot of console stuff. Essentially, it's just letting you know that you can go into 60 frames per second if you're on console, and also there's other like options based on your TV's actual display effects, and you can, you know, enable VRR, VVR, whatever it is. If you know, you know. I'm PC, so it doesn't apply to me. But for the most part,
they'll be able to choose
that's all
between
they're
VR
talking about
R40.
There are a couple of quality of life updates that we're introducing. One of them is you can now toggle dialogue cameras off. So instead of getting that sort of focus zoom in on whatever NPC you're talking.
We waited 8 months to be able to turn the dialogue camera zoom on and off. Like,
To, it just stays in normal default camera mode. It's a little more immersive that way. Some players may prefer that.
Love it.
In addition to that, we're making the container and barter menus a bit more usable. We've added some tabs.
This
along
I
the
love.
top,
I'm not gonna
it's
lie, I
easier to
love
sort
this.
of see what container or what inventory you're looking at, whether it's yourself.
because it was kind of
or
confusing
ship.
because you had to press the
It's just easier
button.
to navigate.
You had to like press the button. It would be like LB cargo, and then I'm like, am I? And then it shows it there. I guess that's obvious then. The way I say it is like LB is cargo, so now you're in the cargo menu. But like it wasn't evident. It wasn't obvious at the time.
Basically inventory and item management. It's a small thing, but it actually, I think, makes it a lot nicer.
You know
So,
they had to
Tim,
throw
We
the
just talked to
Skyrim
Joe
Easter
and
egg
he's
in there.
fun.
That's
A
Skyrim
little bit
cameo.
about update 4 and what's coming, but is there anything else that you want to talk about that's down the horizon?
So the team is working on our first land vehicle, so you can drive around on planet.
You see the way he said that? It's because he knows cats are tired of walking everywhere. Cats are so tired of walking on barren planets. But we are going to get a land vehicle, but it's not coming in this May update. You notice he said we're working on our first land vehicle. I don't know what kind of, they're probably working some bugs around, like making sure it has proper collision and stuff like that. I don't know how long that takes, but The rumors, if you want to call them rumors or whatever, that's confirmed. We are getting a land vehicle, so that's definitely nice. It's not in this first May update or whatever the heck, unless it's done by that time and they want to add it in, because you'll find out soon here that, see, this is essentially the last thing he talks about, and then he mentions that they're working on the DLC
and the massive Shattered Space expansion.
See, he's saying we're working on the Shattered Space expansion, and that's pretty much that for that. And then if you go onto the actual Bethesda page and look up Starfield and check some of the notes and stuff like that for the update, it's a lot of like fixed issues and bugs, which I generally don't really go over unless it's like majorly known bugs. Some things here I have like Neon and Ryujin security is gonna come after you more, and then the Moorish ship mission where you get stuck sometimes, that's gonna get fixed. But here I want to point this out. Right here, I might need to zoom on it for you guys, whatever the heck, but it says, please note this update currently is in the Steam beta before going live for all players. We don't anticipate much to change from this update, but we'll let you know when it's available and any adjustments we make to the notes below. So that tells you right there that, like, although we got this video and all these people talking about the update, it's not actually live yet. It's still only in Steam beta, and that's if you have that enabled on Steam. Therefore, you can play beta Starfield and you can check out that update. But yeah, all this isn't even permanent yet. So that's pretty much it for the Starfield update. We got some good things in there. The best thing being the points of interest stuff in the surface map. Other than that, they're just adding more menu options. But as always, they're still just a little bit behind what we actually want and a little bit behind getting it to us and such. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers. It's a start. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about this update. What kind of things you're into? Are you looking forward to shipbuilding? Are you looking forward to, you know, just the points of interest like me? Let me know what you think down below.